Welcome to the fish tank.
Hey everybody, Fishman here, and welcome to another video. This is actually the perfect time for this build. It's been something I've been thinking about for a little while, but now that I have these aquariums and I haven't hooked them up yet, and they have a nice drilled hole, this is excellent. This is probably the only opportunity I'm going to have to make this. This is going to be a hob, but the hob is going to have a fitting that's going to be as unobtrusive as possible, and it's going to feed water into the filter from that hole. Normally I would do it a lot higher, but I mean we can do it with the tanks that I have. And then the return is going to be above, so that there is as little intrusion in the aquarium visibly as possible. And this is actually kind of a weird backwards kind of build, the way it needs to be done. Everything depends upon this one hole. This is the one that's going to be physically attached to the aquarium, and so it has to be done first. So I'm going to drill that hole, and then I'm going to put a piece of pipe in, just one I had laying around, and that is going to be my positioning marker. So once that's all placed in place like that, and then I level everything out, I can go from here and attach the bracket, because you can't have the weight, even of the small weight of a hob, hanging off this one little piece like this. You'll end up, I don't think it'll crack the tank or anything, but it puts unwarranted strain on it. So while this is clamped in place, I will also take a small bracket and I will just tack it into place. When you're vertically gluing acrylic, especially because this methylene chloride is really runny, you just have to put a little bit on it. If you glue it completely, it'll run right down the side and it'll ruin it. So just tacking it lightly, and then I take it off and to finish up the glue up. I'm actually getting to the point where I can glue with methylene chloride with one hand now. It's kind of bizarre. It's not recommended though, for sure. So once this is glued properly, I'm going to put it back on the tank, make sure everything fits right, and then it's just a simple matter of building the rest of the box around this one piece. So first off, put it back on the tank, and then I need to drill the top hole, which is going to be the return for it. The return is going to, like I said, be above, but what I wanted to do, I left a lot of extra lip there. I'll cut that down later. I didn't want to drill too close to the edge, because I didn't want to crack it after getting to all this point, so I left a little extra material on here. Now I'm going to drill this down. This is the top hole. It's also going to be 1 inch, and it's going to be in the opposite corner, of course. And then what I'm going to do afterwards is I'm going to put this in the saw, because I still left the backing on it, and I'm going to trim the top part, well, as close as I can get anyway. Again, I still want some structural integrity to this. So here we are. I've drilled the hole. I've trimmed the top piece so you can see it's shorter now. I've put in the proper bracket now for like the tank piece, and I've also obviously built the box. Now, if I were doing this like for a client or something like that mattered, I would put a screw-on fitting on there and I would trim it down as close as possible. But for this particular setup, because it's not permanent at all, I'm just going to glue this into place, and then I'm going to glue it so I can actually remove it. And again, the reason for doing that is I want as little visual impact inside the tank as possible. I mean, like, once this tank is filled with water, that left-hand side becomes a mirror, and all you're going to see is that one little lip of the round hole of that piece of acrylic there. If I had put a piece of PVC, like a PVC screw-on fitting there, even if I had machined it down as flush as I could get it, you would still see that gray piece of pipe. And I suppose I could have machined one out of acrylic, but I don't really have the proper taps and dies for that, or actually the right materials to make that out of, so it's just going to have to stay this way for now. So here we are, we're all ready to go. There's one more thing I need to make later on. I just borrowed the basket from one of the other builds. Actually, I built the hob so that it would fit this. So we're just going to fill this up right now. You can see a little bit of silicone there, but all that will become, well, I said transparent the second the water gets in it. So I'm just going to fill this up with water, and let's see how it runs. It's very easy to fill up a 15-gallon tank. So once the water gets up past that hole, it's going to fill into the hob itself, And then I already have this hooked up to air, so the second it, as soon as the bottom pipe hits the water, it's going to start bubbling. And that's actually another neat thing about this kind of thing is it's well, self-priming. If you have a power failure or whatever, it'll just fire right back up as soon as the power comes back on, which is kind of neat too. There we go, the moment of truth. As the water starts splashing in here, and there you go. That's it's kind of neat. Obviously, when this is running, you might put on a screen on that, but the screen would definitely have to be on the inside, because you don't want anything sitting in the actual tank itself. So it's starting to bubble now. There's no way air driven is going to lift water that high, but it'll start percolating here shortly. And then obviously the basket needs to have media put into it, and there should be a sponge at some point in this, but all that sort of stuff is if it were making this for a more permanent kind of build. This is just obviously a demonstration thing. And as you can see, it starts splashing there. That's what motivated me to say that I needed to put an elbow on that, and also decided to the top part where the hose goes in, you see it bubbling a bit. I also decided it was a good idea to glue that in as well, just to keep it all looking nice and neat as possible. And also I was getting really a lot of air here, so I'm going to switch off the camera for a few minutes, let all that clear out, and then I'm going to build those two pieces, and then we'll give you a nice clear view of how it all looks here when it's all up and running. So you can actually get a fair amount of water flow out of this, which is actually kind of impressing me with most of the hobs, the air-driven hobs I've been doing. They're actually pretty useful for filtration. I'm actually liking them a lot. So here we go, a few minutes later, most of the bubbles are gone, and I put the little deflector on there, and also glued up the where the air goes in, so it's not bubbling there. And when you look down below, you don't see the filter at all. All you see is that little hole, and that's I mean, it has good flow, but there's not really a whole lot of suction here, and a simple screen on the inside would take care of any kind of danger of fish getting into it, and then of course a sponge as well and that sort of stuff. So that's pretty much all you really need to worry about for that. So there you have it, a stealth hob. As far as the inside of the tank goes, there's really no indication of how it's being filtered, which is kind of cool. It is reverse flow because it's pumping the water back into the tank. You need a drilled hole, of course, but filtration wise, it should be just as good as any of the other air-driven hobs. And like I said, it's just kind of a different way of looking at it. Anyway, if you like this style of video, please like and or subscribe. That would be greatly appreciated. And if you've stuck out this far, I figured you needed a little bit of bonus material. And the bonus material is based on the last two videos I've done. Apparently a lot of people have commented and find that having a raised bottom on fish tanks seems incongruous to a lot of people. Like for some reason they think it should be a weaker build than if it were flush and you had support for the bottom piece of glass. So I used to, a long time ago, when I first had those concerns myself, I'd build the tank, I would flip it over like this. This is one of the tanks I just made. Sorry for the rather shaky one-handed gluing here, but I'm using my phone for filming this, all as you can tell all along here. So what you do is you just run a bead. Because it is underneath the aquarium, you're never going to see it. So just you can see also some of the other silicone that got squeezed out. Just run the bead all the way around, and then just smooth it out with your finger, and that will supply you with an additional support for the bottom sheet. I used to do this, like I said, like 20 plus years ago, before I realized it wasn't really necessary. So if it's like the kind of thing that you think you need a little extra insurance, security, whatever for, this is really easy to do. And because it's, like I said, hidden, you don't have to worry about taping it or anything. Just smear it on there, and once it solidifies, it gives you, actually it does give you a little extra support, of course, but like I said, it's not really necessary. It's just, like I said, if you're of the nature where you need a little extra sort of security or whatever, go for it. It certainly doesn't hurt anything. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next video, and bye for now.